probably won't. Either way, they represent just a small part of the 19 million football fans who'll be filling the television parlors, grounds and stadiums all over this vast country. No sport has traveled as widely or as well as football has. Its special elements have made it the major sport in practically every country in the world. But in Brazil, it's become much more than that. It might be the climate, the temperament, or that special mixture of races, but devotion to the game is carried to extremes unknown in any other country. This is seen in the way the Brazilian stars play the game and their unique status in society. For in Brazil, football is not just a game, but king of all sports. The players are not just men, but giants. Football in Brazil. If you're a boy and can stumble about in 2 feet, then you're ready for the game. Well, almost ready. Whatever the traditional reasons Brazilian fathers may have had for wanting sons rather than daughters, today's motives are simple. A son means a potential footballer in the family. Maybe even another Pele. Whether it's town or village, a grass pitch or a mud flat, in boots or bare feet, the Brazilian style is unmistakable. Even in friendly matches, the play is aggressive, forward, attacking, and always in earnest. And this is the trophy that started it all, the Jules Rimet Cup. In 1938, France was the host nation. The team the Brazilians fielded were brilliant. Domingos Tavia, Martin and Leonidas were among some of the star names of the period. The Brazilians were strongly fancied to take the 1938 Cup. The fact that they'd to be content with third place was a reflection on team strategy rather than playing ability. In the semi-final against Italy, the eventual Cup winners, Brazil lost 2-1. In 1950, the setting was Brazil, and Brazil were tipped to win. On the day of the final, the nation went wild, with giants like Cezinho, Ademir and Jair, Augusto, Juvenal and Bauer, Danilo and Bigode. How could they lose? But they did, even after a 1-0 lead. To Uruguay, 2-1. The Brazilians were stunned. It was a national disgrace. A disaster. But not for long. For when the foreign teams had departed and the crowds had gone home, there were new matches, other cup finals, and the next World Cup tournament to plan for. As with all other seasons, the football was sometimes bad, sometimes good, but invariably interesting. 1954 World Cup, the period saw many changes in the way the game was played, and the players. Some of the veterans retired, new rising stars were introduced. Potential giants like Garrincha. Nicknamed the Little Bird, Garrincha was to develop into one of the great players of Brazil. A tremendously gifted footballer, he was a powerhouse of speed and skill on the swerve. Not the least astonishing fact about him was that he'd been crippled from boyhood. There was another rising star, a player who was destined to be perhaps the most celebrated footballing giant of all time. By the time of the 1958 World Cup in Sweden, he was only 17 years old. In the semi-finals against France, he scored 3 of Brazil's 5 goals. And in the magnificent final against Sweden, 2 of the 5 goals that won the cup for Brazil were his. The great Pele, of course. Brazil's triumph was celebrated in Rio, as elsewhere in the country, in characteristic style. The defeat in 1950 was partially wiped out, almost a forgotten incident. Because now the world knew what they had always believed. They not only had the greatest team in the world, in Pele, they had the greatest player. Watch him in action. Then increasingly internationally, he acquired the reputation of being unbeatable. Trouble and bad temper became a regular feature of Pele matches. Wherever he played, he was a marked man. Whether he was really unbeatable was a matter of opinion. That he could be stopped, one way or another, was a matter of fact. The attacks on Pele were blatant and sometimes vicious. Out of the game and the cup. This early setback, instead of demoralizing the Brazilian team, acted as a tremendous spur. Gilmar, Pitu Santos, Mauro, Jajimo, Zito, Gigi, Baba, the new boy Amarildo, Zagallo, but above all Garrincha, played like giants. England 3-1, Chile 4-2. And in a memorable final against Czechoslovakia, Brazil took the cup in a magnificent 3-1. World Cup. But back in Brazil, it wasn't the end of some wonderful goals, nor for some spectacular fouls. Pele is mobbed by the press contingent. Brazilian lineup. Will they make it 3 times running? The first match was against Bulgaria. The game never really got going. Nevertheless, a packed stadium saw Brazil win 2-0 with 2 superbly taken free kicks. The first was Pele's. Took the second. In the second round, it was Brazil versus Hungary. Pele took the first goal for Hungary. Tostão equalized for Brazil. Early on in the second half, Farkas put Hungary ahead. Brazil played well, but were finally defeated by a penalty from Metsuli. Brazil against Portugal. Simoes scored the first early header for Portugal. 10 minutes later, Eusebio with another header. Even now, only Moraes might be able to say why he brought Pele down the way he did. Pele was carried off. Kept up the pressure. A late goal by Hugo raised Brazil's hopes. Minutes before the whistle, Eusebio scored again. It was 3-1 to Portugal. Brazil was out of the game and out of the cup. Long after the 1966 Cup was over and won, controversy raged over the Brazil-Portugal game. When Pele was fouled by Moraes, the English referee George McCabe allowed Moraes to stay on the field. Critics claimed that he should have been sent off. Had that happened, the outcome of the game and the entire tournament could have been transformed. But the game can't be played without referees, with or without their mistakes. It's a tough and lonely job. Alberto, Gilson, Jairzinho, Tostão, Pele, Rivellino, Antonio, and all the others. Each one a master footballer, yet they trained like newcomers, as if their careers depended on it. The confidence of trainer Saldanha and the team's medical advisors was unshakable. Nothing would stop Brazil from winning the cup this time. Preliminaries to the World Cup began. In Bogota against Colombia, Tostão scored 2 goals in an easy win. In this game, it was Brazil versus Venezuela. Brazil won 5-0. Tostão scoring 3 of the goals and Pele 2. Brazil's game against Paraguay, not as easy as the first 2, nevertheless produced a clear win for Brazil. In the second phase of the elimination matches, the Brazilians repeated their brilliant form. Against Colombia, they scored an exciting 6 goals, almost shared across the team. Pele, Ronaldo, Jairzinho, Edu and Tostão all scored. Tostão in superb form scored twice. Against Venezuela, another 6 goals scored. Pele 2, Jairzinho 1, and Tostão 3 crowd-thrilling goals. And goals are what the game is all about. Still, Pele scored the single goal of the match, and Brazil were ready for Mexico. As we said in the beginning, the Brazilians' devotion to football is extreme. Enthusiasm, passion, hero worship, temper and violence is seen in Brazil in a way unknown anywhere else, on and off the field. Struck superstar Tostão just months before the Mexico tournament. Twice hit on different occasions on his left eye by violently kicked balls produced a dislocation of the retina. delicate operation, Tostão was not even allowed to touch a ball for 3 months. Still, he recovered, made the team, and soccer history. Brazil were the cup winners 1958 and 1962. England are the cup holders. In many ways, it's the one match the world is waiting to see. To nothing. Jairzinho races down the byline. Crosses. And Pele hit. But it's a fantastic save from Banks. Rivellino tries to break through, but he's checked by Lebeau. Tostão's turn now, but he loses control of the ball, and Peters comes away to get England on the move. In comes Lee. Felix parries it. In the scramble, it seems as if Lee has kicked Felix in the face. Is obviously a marked man. And straight away, Carlos Alberto chops him down without any pretense of going for the ball. As deliberate a foul as you'll ever see. Now Pele to Jairzinho. Watch him juggle the ball. 1, 2, 3. And then the pass. Wonderful ball control. Pele tries to press home the attack, but tangles with Mallory. Nothing in it so far, but a goal could work wonders. Pele slips the ball to Paulo Cesar. And a great shot from the Brazilian as Banks scrambling to turn it around the corner. Now it's Rivellino. Beating 2 men and shooting hard. But Banks makes another great save. England are being hard pressed, and they don't look as confident as they were in the first half. Tostão elbows his way past ball, beats Moore and Wright, and centres to Pele. A flick to Jairzinho, and it's a goal! It was a great goal, and let's see it again. See how Tostão beats Moore and Wright, and evades Moore for a second time. The deep cross to Pele, who traps it with all the time in the world to flick it gently to Jairzinho, who does the rest. Down against the fierce heat as England set up another attack. A defensive mistake. An open goal as Aspel shoots wide. It was the last chance to equalise as the final whistle goes. A very good game and one that will prove decisive in the World Cup series. Semi-final day at Guadalajara Stadium, Brazil versus Uruguay. Make the first attack. Cortes shoots and Felix fumbles. But away come Uruguay. Morales sends the ball across the penalty area. The answer can't reach it and Cubillia crosses. No! He scored! Jairzinho probes for an opening. down too. The Uruguayans are going in hard and reckless too. Brazil are pressing for an equalizer. Out to Tostão on the left. In comes Clodoaldo to score. Fantastic! It's well worth a second look. Tostão sends across a low return pass. Clodoaldo runs in and wham! It's there. The score 1-1. Brazil attack. Pele shoots and Mazurkovic goes down to save. And now it's Uruguay. Felix takes the high ball. He goes over the top of Morales and seems to be hurt. Morales looks concerned, but he wasn't to blame. Pele bursts through the middle, outpaces two men, beats two more, and is brought down. Pele claims a foul, but again he's ignored by the referee. Now Brazil on the move, and Rivellino is floored. It's getting rougher, and Pele goes in, showing that he can mix it too. Tostão out to Jairzinho. He cuts into the box, and he scores! Now let's have another look. Jairzinho collects the ball, beats up a tackle, and shoots just inside the far post. 2-1 to Brazil, who are looking really good for the final now. And it's a fine move as the ball goes from Gerson to Tostao. Tostao hooks it into the middle, and Pele scores. Comes steaming in and gives Pele the ball. Centre is nodded down by Pele, and somehow Javier runs it into the net. A totally mistimed effort, but a goal all the same. 3-1 to Brazil. See it again. regard as the finest team ever brought together by a nation, we look back at a game that had nothing to do with the drama and aggression of World Cup play. Yet it turned out to be a highly emotional occasion, with tears and cheers in equal measure. It was in Rio, at the Maracanã Stadium,